What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Paddock, a Formula One podcast for new fans and the familiar. I want to thank you all for joining us. We've just finished our first sprint of the season with Red Bull back on pole. The Constructors and Drivers' Championships are still up for grabs as we get ready for the first race in America in Miami. So we're getting excited for that one. Let's jump into it. Today I'm joined by Gio.
What's going on, guys?
Will.
Hey guys, how you doing?
And Pete. What'd you think of the race?
Oh, can't spell Spain without pain. My two favourite drivers, Carlos spinning out in qualifying, then getting rear-ended by our favourite Australian, then, Alpine seem to be building their bodywork out of Semtex or something because it keeps on exploding. But the sprint was excellent, and the race was a interesting race, but it still shows DRS is still required. Lads, what is your thoughts?
I feel your pain on the Spaniards. I really felt for race day Carlos not being able to finish, because I really thought this was or should have been his race to, I don't know, hush some people, because I think going into it, he's had a couple bad bouts. He had that win with Ferrari, they signed him for another year, which was, Ferrari definitely believes in the guy, so it would just been good for him to show up. He did well during, qualifying and whatnot, and I think where did he finish on the sprint?
Fourth.
I don't remember where he finished. Fourth. So he really set himself up for a good race weekend. It was just unfortunate, but the race itself was fun, man. I told Will off camera that sometimes it becomes a snooze fest when someone wins by so much, right? In Mac's case, but he showed up. It's either he doesn't finish or he just wins, and that's been all the races this season. I think Charles Leclerc is just hoping that Max doesn't finish races at this point, right? Because for us, it's more entertaining if he's in it. It creates a great battle. And you also got to feel bad for Charles in this race, right? Like he kind of had third, possibly second in the bag, but didn't turn out that way. He ended up finishing sixth.
It's his own dumb fault.
Definitely.
He was taking.
I definitely go.
He was taking.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to go into that pit and what he was trying to do, and why people called him a knucklehead for it. What do you think?
There's so many things I could comment on. Yeah, like you said, there were some sleep moments on the race, but three really big ones for me. I really missed Jenson Button commentating. DeResta was there. He does a great job, but I'm a real big team Jenson Button as a commentator. Don't know why, he's just great. So I missed that. It was great to see McLaren back where they should be, up the front, apart from Ricciardo hitting Sainz accidentally, but the performance is back, which is really pleasing to see. So I think it's Gio and myself, us being Team McLaren for the season, it's looking pretty exciting. And I think one of the biggest wow factors to me in this race was the fact that Hamilton got lapped by Max Verstappen.
Oh, and they showed those graphics. They showed the graphics. There's like, hey, let's look at the gap between Max and
then let's cut to Nico. Oh man, look at that! George Russell's in the same car. He's so much better.
Yeah, Nico Rosberg, no chill. He was loving it, and the British commentators had nothing to say. They love Hamilton, but Jesus, they could not spin it anyway. And you're 100% right. He's in the same car, and Russell's the only driver to finish in the top 5 in every race this season so far.
Wow.
And Russell's been doing phenomenal, man, and to an earlier point, Russell knows how to deal with the not so best of situations, right? He comes from a Williams team that, like, they gave him the best they could, and he dealt with it. He made some good moves at Williams, right? In this case, even if Hamilton and Russell have the same exact car, Russell just knows how to get the most out of a tractor, or out of so Hamilton's had the best car for years now, and just not used to it. I think he's just not used to having to I hate to say it this way, like, he doesn't have everything lined up for him, so he doesn't know how to adjust accordingly. Maybe as the season progresses, he'll get used to it. He'll find ways to win, but can't good for Russell. That's all I would say. Russell's killing this season. But hey, Bottas again.
Yeah.
Valtteri, Valtteri. That was a good fight for fourth, right? It's him and George, right? You see them. Valtteri's right behind him for a couple laps. And I hate saying it, like, if there was one more lap, he would have definitely got him, right? Like, if it was one or two more laps, Valtteri would have got him. But, who's to say Valtteri maybe got out at the right time, He gets to perform as best as he could over the Alfa Romeo, and, he's competing, man. You can't. I like the guy. He's competing. He's not in a shadow as much as he was last year. He's doing what he can. I can see him. I can definitely see him making podium this season. It'll be huge for him, I'm sure.
Oh, it'll be amazing for Sauber to get back on the podium. But also, Bottas, as you touched on, he's the number one driver for a change. He's never had that in his F1 career, and he's got a multi-year contract that instills confidence. This team wants me. He asks for things, they get it done. It's just a beautiful thing to see. And Lando Norris having a quiet, lonely race and sneaking up to get another podium at Imola. That was just beautiful.
Yeah.
And shows McLaren are understanding their car better.
Yeah.
A little bit of lap there.
Yeah. Zach loves that boy. Treats him like
he does. Like, the gleam in his eye when he looks at him is just. And I almost feel bad for Ricardo. And Ricardo's another one. I think he had a great weekend, and then race day, it was just so unfortunate, right? Like, it's almost shocking when you look at the table and you see him dead last, right?
Oh, he had damage. He's under tray got damaged.
Oh yeah, early on damage. And but still, that's Latifi territory back there. I don't want to see Danny back there. He should have been competing up there for the 4, 5, and 6s, right? But that wasn't the case.
It could have been a very different race if Carlos and Daniel were still in it.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of back running cars, the other massive point I thought was. Arguably the nicest looking car in the grid finally gets some points scored in the Aston Martin car. 8th and 10th. Hooray!
Yes, and they got 5 points, so they jumped ahead of Williams as well.
Oh, wow.
Seb likes the wet, and he drove well, kept out of trouble, and strolled into 10th place.
That's what I think is the interesting, is just seeing them deal with the wet, and which tires, when they're going to put on, because there's times where it seemed like it was pretty wet out there, and you would hear the driver say, I've got a dry line, and I'll switch to the slicks, and it'll still give them, even though it's still kind of wet out there, it would still make them almost 2 seconds faster than it would be on the inters. And then they would be saying oh, maybe I should try the mediums or whatnot. I think that was the most fascinating aspect of it, was them trying to find that dry line the whole time, or when they had the inters looking for wet to keep the tires in a certain temperature. I think that was just seeing them maintain that was fascinating.
Absolutely.
think
Hey, if you want to see a crazy race, just to confirm Pete's point about wet weather and Vettel doing well, um, it is worth checking out the 2008 Monza Grand Prix, where Sebastian Vettel won the race in the Red Bull sister car back then called Toro Rosso. Just watch the race and see how Vettel did. He absolutely blitzed everyone in wet weather. Like even the commentators were like, "Who is this guy?" You know, he's just like absolutely blitzed everyone in both qualifying and the race itself. So it's worth watching. It is an incredible drive, and that was pretty much the arrival of Sebastian Vettel to fame in Formula One.
Mhm.
Yuki, shout out to
Yuki.
Yuki. It finished in seventh, getting some points, some impressive maneuvers, right? You know, a lot of passing where people usually don't pass. I noticed from Yuki, and you know, when he got some camera time, we noticed a little bit. But I think Ray was mentioning earlier that people were focused really heavily on Hamilton all the way on at 13th too much. I was like, okay, come on. Let's switch this camera up a little bit.
This is the 20th time he's trying to pass him, and it is not happening again.
It was so frustrating to watch because I felt like Hamilton, with his experience, should have been trying different things. You know, maybe back off, let Gasly get past Albon, and then him go for Albon. You know, just at least think about it. You know, or muster the aggression he used to have in his earlier days. You know. Once upon a time, he was labelled a reckless driver. Ask Felipe Massa. He couldn't walk out his apartment door without being hit by Hamilton in 2011, I think it was. And he got asked, why are you so aggressive? It's like, well, I don't have the best car. I've got to make up for it. Reminds you of anyone else, perhaps? So...
Yeah. Well, now these days he has to tackle a bouncing dolphin.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like when they show that camera on pretty much any of the cars, when they deal with that porpoising, like their heads are shaking so violently, and they're coming around like a lot of blind corners. There's mist from the rain, and you've got your head shaking. It's crazy that they're able to still, see or maneuver around the track a lot of times.
And Russell was complaining of a sore body afterwards, back and chest from the porpoising. I'm not sure whether that's him trying to angle for, a bit of regulation change or him actually legit going, hey, this is impacting me. But, it's got to be tough on him. And you're 100% right, Ray, it's got to impact the visibility. How are you meant to line up your braking spot when you're bouncing up and down like you're at a death metal concert?
Right.
Really?
At least they drive mosh as they do it.
What are they listening to, Will? Bit of Metallica? One?
Yeah, that's right. Too good.
Let's not forget Sergio. It's Checo. Perez, man.
The number two driver that Red Bull needs. He's just phenomenal.
Right. And that's exactly what they were hoping for when they signed him, right? He's doing what he needs to do this season. Had a spectacular race this past weekend, and Charles could have caught him, but he held tight at second position and stayed there. I think it was the first Red Bull 1-2 since
Malaysia 2016,
since the Danny days. Yeah, right. So this is what Red Bull wants, right? Like if they can continue to do that, keeping Red Bull 1-2, they got this in the bag,
Well, the one thing we haven't covered is we haven't ruled out the elephant in the room with Leclerc spinning. I don't think we've mentioned that yet. The fact that
it's the second time he's spun chasing down Perez in the wet. Last time was in Turkey 2020, and this time around he was taking an aggressive line on that corner throughout the whole weekend and bouncing his car up and over it. He went too tight, too hard, and that caused him to have his spin. And that's why I said earlier it's all on him, because in the end he was too much in a rush to get that spot.
Yeah, that's right. Like this is where you got to play it smart. Like sometimes don't risk the points. Like there's not really that much points difference between second and third place. So was it really worth that 3 points to lose just to to risk it like that? And that's not the first time this season that Leclerc's done that. What about with when he's chasing down the fastest lap and the team saying no, just keep it together, but he insists on going fast. So yeah, look, if I was Leclerc, I'd be thinking about not taking the risks as he is at the moment and just banking the points. That's safe. So yeah.
To quote a 7-time world champion, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
No, I think that's
Absolutely.
fascinating because like it reminds me of when you were talking about it was like was it Senna versus Prost, and like you had the professor who was trying to conserve the points and him who was just going after it. And
Yep.
I think like especially this year with Ferrari, they're just under so much immense pressure that they want to get every single point that they can get, and you can see it live. Like he was coasting this whole time, and he's like, "No, I gotta go after it. I gotta go after it." And it's interesting to see them kind of like try to balance the pressure along with just conserving, doing well, so we can make it to the end.
Yeah.
Also, as well, Ferrari made a strategy mistake. They called in Leclerc a touch too late, and that put him behind Lando Norris on his outlap, which he had to get past, which by the time Red Bull reacted to Leclerc's pace, they had him covered. So, if they brought him in a lap or two earlier, he may not have spun. But in the end, the spin was his fault. He likes taking that sausage curb hard, and yeah, it just bit him. And he's spun during practice as well, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
He actually spun more than Carlos. Carlos has got unlucky with his first spin, and then the second time around, he got rear-ended by the honey badger.
Yep. Very true.
It was a little tap, but in this one, Danny, like it wasn't an intentional bump into.
No, it wasn't a pit maneuver. It was just pure misjudgment on Daniel. He was trying to go wide. He put on his brakes too late. He didn't have the traction he wanted.
At least a little bit. Speaking of, before we go into news, I think we need our weekly Latifi check-in. Latifi did finish this race.
Whoa, the race. But what about the sprint? What about the whole weekend? Come on now, let's paint the picture for everyone here.
We're asking for too much here. We block it off. We'll keep it to race day.
Stay tuned.
If we go by that logic, who else? A couple people didn't finish qualifying. And they still
Lando Norris didn't.
Still made some good. Yeah, where he's at.
All right, we'll keep it race day Latifi. We'll keep it race day for Latifi.
Race day Latifi.
There's a rumor about Latifi as well.
Really?
Going to Mercedes.
Oh, isn't that the dream, Gio? Hey.
Replacing Carlos Sainz.
Replacing Hamilton because he's a shitbox whisperer. Actually,
you heard it here first, folks.
on a serious note, speaking of Mercedes and allegiances, Ray, are you still flirting with the Tifosi, or you sticking with the serial arrows?
The thing is, I've just the passion
starts like that
behind Ferrari is just infectious. Let's just put it that way. And the silver car going around the track in no man's land, it's somewhere between 5th and 10th. I don't know. I think the Ferrari red has just been calling to me. I'm trying to hold on as long as I can, but I think I might if I pick Carlos as my driver, I'm still picking an underdog.
You are?
Yeah, I guess.
It's not technically front running; it's second running.
If you would have stuck with Mercedes, your good vibes would have propelled Hamilton this past weekend.
I have one secret I did not want to tell any of you, and that was at one point during this race they're doing a drone shot as Max is making his charge for first, and that was the first one. I was like, that Red Bull car looks kind of good.
Oh, bum, bum.
Oh,
So I
lost
have to
Pete
have to
for a second.
reposition my pointing here. So yeah, this is where we're going, Ray. Is it?
Yeah. No, you're gonna see me as like a Verstappen fan next year, and I'm gonna be like, you know what? He goes balls to the wall. I love it.
Well, something about that. What was that? Well, what's you good, Pete?
Yeah, just having some technical difficulties. Sorry, guys.
Oh no worries.
All good. Something about that cool down room
Oh, they
at the
brought
end of
it
the race
back finally.
was kind of very I don't know. It was nice to see. I was like, look at these guys hanging out, best friends or something. I was like, okay, this is nice. This is young boy territory. Minus Perez is like the more senior guy in there, but
Yeah.
I know. Let them recap the race here and
The
talk all the nonsense they want.
the
There's
cool
been
down
some
room hasn't always been
controversy.
cool. You know,
Yeah, over the years it's been amazing. Mark
Rosberg throwing
Webber,
a
Sebastian
Hamilton.
Vettel, multi 21. Sebastian Vettel, Mark Webber, when they both finish first and second, and they're about ready to punch each other. So the camera's just filming these two, like, oh, I can cut that tension with a knife.
Or when Seb's talking to Daniel Kvyat, it's like, you came at me like a torpedo. How he got his nickname.
Correct. Yeah, in answer to your question, yeah, I totally agree. I love studying the room of the three drivers to see body language and what's going on, and you can sort of tell the tensions between drivers and who gets along with who. So I think it's a really crucial part of a race just to see that in the room. Yeah.
One thing I've like noticed so much this season was like maybe the respect between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's crazy how they just maybe because we're not used to it between him and Lewis, but just the way they talk to each other, right? Like a lot of respect there, like little to no animosity. You know, when they finish 1-2 or on the podium, there's just a lot of, good chatter between them. Ray, what's this Jesus light you got coming behind you?
Oh,
It's a sign to go to Ferrari.
Yeah.
you've seen the light.
Well,
Is
that's the thing.
sunrise? There you go.
Nico and
Sunrise.
Lewis used to be close friends. You know, when Nico first got his podium in Australia, I think it was, those two ran up and hugged each other. You know, because they used to be best mates from karting. You know, it wasn't until they got into the same team and started fighting for the wins and championships, it began to turn sour.
Winning in F1 adds drama to your career, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
let's have this conversation towards the end of the season if they become absolute bitter rivals. For
Right.
the
Yeah.
championship.
Exactly. Right. Like the closer you, the more competitive you are throughout the season, and then the more winning you become, you might lose a lot more friends along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, especially
And I think that, and think about Lewis Hamilton throughout the years. Like there's this like narrative that people don't get along with him as much, right? And I think rightfully so because just guy was just dominant for years. And of course, like a Max or the young kids have this, not a hatred towards him, but there's just like I got to take out the guy that's on top. Lewis Hamilton's
I think there's a little
seemingly
bit
a nice guy.
of that, but also I think Hamilton just does his own thing. You know, he's into high fashion, he's into music production. You know, his interests are different. It's like Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo. Everyone thought, oh, those two get like a house on fire. They get along well enough, but they're not chummy mates, the meme team that we thought they were going to have. Because in the end, they're two very
That's right.
different people.
yeah, but
All right.
there's one more element here as well is when a championship goes down to a bit of rivalry, don't underestimate the role of the media in that as well. Like the same question asked 200 times over the weekend by every reporter from every country. You know, they're the ones that actually get inside the drivers' heads. And let's face it, we're all waiting for controversy. You know, we want to hear those tough questions. We want to, you know, extract something that is controversial. So as the championship goes on, that builds and builds and builds, and that's where that rivalry kicks in as well. So yeah.
And they ask those questions at the worst. As soon as you come out of a car for 2 hours down 11 pounds. So, how do you feel about passing Lewis?
And Lewis is standing right there next to you.
Oh, yeah.
Like drying his face off.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
They love the drama in F1. But like, you know, you're right. I mean, we love it too. We're here for it. I have to say, like, the more boring the race, it made me like, you know what, Jeddah wasn't bad. Jeddah wasn't a bad track.
I'll throw a curveball at everybody real quick. Top three swag / drip in Formula One today. And I'll give you my top three. Well, style, right? Because you just brought up some style in F1, and I figured we haven't talked about this yet. So I'm gonna go Lewis Hamilton, Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly. Those guys are dripping in style for Formula One, and deserve to be noted. Have you guys seen I'll put Charles in there in fourth.
I was gonna say.
They had a really
Yeah, I'm with you there. You know, I think Charles is the head of Gasly, but yeah, that's very similar to what I was thinking.
Hey, did you see those? Did they release those? Was it GQ photo shoots they did earlier in the season? They were really cool.
I didn't see those, but like, you know, I mean, Lewis Hamilton is pretty much just sponsored by Balenciaga. So when it comes to high fashion, I think
Yeah,
he'll take the cake there. But when it comes to picturesque Instagram, Charles Leclerc. I love that guy's Instagram. He's got like, you know, those $1 million like little tiny yachts off of Monaco kind of vibe going, putting up with Albon and the boys.
Cool. It's cool as hell, and I hate it.
All right.
But I want to be his best friend.
I know, like, I just want to be in the golf cart with them on an off week, hanging out.
All right, I'm gonna throw a curveball. Then I'm gonna say, if I'm on the right point here, I'm gonna call it Ricardo, because number one, Ricardo, because he is all class. Like, he's unbelievable when he gets in front of a camera. He always knows what to say, yet being highly intelligent at the same time. But I'm just going to call it the class that he's now got a glass shoey that's now been released, that you can get a glass in the shape of his foot to do his shoey. And he's now just brought out, he's teamed up with, I think it's Hugo Hamilton Wines. So he's now got his own red wine, his own wine label as well.
Buying all of it. That's it. That's how we're going to celebrate, guys. You know, we'll drink some wine, some Hamilton wine together.
How about we do Ricardo's red wine from his shoey glass, and you have to do a shoey with the red wine.
If he can get on pole.
If we can all do a shoey together, that'd be beautiful. You know, this season. We are
that right now. If he gets a podium or a win, what do we think?
If
podium.
Podium?
Yeah, Ricardo gets I'll 100% do a shoey with one of my vans in here or something.
And I'll do it with my Pumas that we were talking about the other episode.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Speed Cats. We'll all do it in Speed Cats.
We won't have a lot of time for news today, Pete. But I'll toss one up to you about which I was excited for, and this I'm super biased, is Lewis Hamilton and Serena Williams putting in a bid to become part owners of Chelsea Football Club, baby.
Yep.
Let's go Blues. I'm super excited about that. Any quick news updates you want to throw at us?
As we briefly touched on, Carlos Sainz with Ferrari for 2023. Red Bull's lost some weight, 3 kilos at Emilia, and planning to lose 10. FIA has announced 6 sprint races for next season. Helmet cameras to be mandatory for all drivers next season. And they've released some goals for the power unit for 2026. Key ones are environmental sustainability, a mix of 100% sustainable fuel and 50% electrical power, and be more affordable, plus others. It's on their website as part of the media statement. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a rumour of a driver swap. Latifi to be swapped for Piastri mid-season.
Mid-season.
As per Ted's notebook.
Mid-season.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that's going to save them a lot of money in cars.
He also brings in a bit of cash, but they don't need it either. And his performances been left to be desired, to say the least. So, and Piastri is a huge talent.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, you need like a Latifi because he sells all the video games. Like he's making me want to get a sim. Come on, we can keep this thing on the track.
Yeah, but now you've got Stroll
I
to
got a
focus
chance
on.
in Formula One.
He's almost the new Maldonado. It's every race. Is Latifi going to crash?
Yeah,
Maybe we should have a Latifi award every race. Who gets the Latifi award this race?
But Maldonado was quick.
Yeah, true.
So, Latifi, if you would like to come on our show at any point, we promise we're not making fun of you. We respect the sport, and you are amazing.
Even though it's really hard to get into it.
Please finish some races or cause some madness. Nothing in between. But yeah. Let's talk about next race. We got Miami coming up, which is super exciting because it's the first first race down there. Well, is it the first race in Miami? Can be honest here.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Some people love it. Some people hate it. I'm not a big fan. This isn't Miami. This is parking lot at the Hard Rock. This isn't really. If you see them building this thing, they're making this like fake little yacht club, which could have been used for more seating, right? Like it's in an island. Like it doesn't make sense. There's no outlet or anything. They're painting part of this ocean blue kind of thing.
When they're next to an ocean.
Next to it.
Gio, it sounds like you haven't found a sugar daddy to take you there yet.
Exactly. That's why I'm pissed. No one bought me a ticket.
Yeah, it's a luxury event, so the ticket prices are considered higher because I believe the Miami GP is dictating the prices rather than Formula One, and they're like
other way
starting
around.
at like $1,900. Oh yeah, oh really?
Yeah,
then
it's
yeah,
usually
they're still
the track
ridiculous.
that dictates the prices, the tickets. I think this event's actually being done by Liberty Media, not by the track.
It's so expensive. I don't know.
And it's selling.
It's crazy. I was seeing
Yeah,
tickets
well,
go
it's
for
an,
like
it's an exclusive
$2,000.
event. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, I can see it selling. Right. Think of the fan base you have, or the FOMO base you have in Miami or in like Southern Florida, right? Like it's a money ticket. You're gonna have a bunch of like think of the. I know, without saying anything too bad, but I gotta reserve it. But like, those guys that retire, go down to Florida, maybe hang around too many young chicks. They're a little too old to be in the clubs. There's gonna be a lot of that for sure.
Yeah, like an elevated gentleman.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, see, that's the most diplomatic way to put that. Not the Instagram trip sponsors, if that makes any sense. But it's a weird one. I think I'm sure it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna tune in. I hope it looks great. I hope they have a great race. We don't have any previous tech specs to know how racers are gonna handle this, right?
Correct.
We'll see a lot during qualifying. early. I can't even give you a prediction, right? We don't know what to expect from the race, but I think the only thing we can predict is like which driver does the best at adapting to change or adapting to not so someone who can adapt, right? What racer comes to mind that can adapt on the fly, go into a new course, and just own it, right? That's the racer that's going to win.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is, but you guys let me know.
Yeah, I mean, when they announced it, all the drivers were excited for the Miami track. I know they're going to be excited for the Vegas track. It's going to be curious to see what they do to make it look cool. At least, wait, this is at night, I believe, or is it during the
Day.
daytime? Oh, this is in the day. Oh, another miss. God, you don't do Miami at night.
I know, Art Deco, the neon lights.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a photographer's wet dream.
Prime opportunities. Yeah, like honestly, I don't know why. Like you watch a Miami Heat game, they got the drone shot coming in over the bay. You got people pulling in on yachts up to the arena. There's no reason why you can't have something in that area for a Formula One race.
Yeah.
This race is going to be obnoxious. Take out. Not the race itself. It's just going to be everything that's happening.
I can't
outside.
wait for the national anthem. That's going to be ridiculous.
Well, yeah, the national. Well, if Austin is a good indication of like what they do for the national. They got jets flying by. They got the helicopters. They're going to go nuts. But then, maybe they'll spice it up. The little Latino influence in Miami.
That's what I'm like. We're going to see.
But either way, I'll be watching from one of the yachts. So, let me know.
In the parking lot or in the water?
In the Hudson River, I'll be watching on an iPad.
Is the yacht to scale, or is it like a little tiny yacht in the Hudson?
I'm gonna see if I run to the store this week and find like little mini yachts, and I'll put them in front of my view, like Will. Any other thoughts on Miami?
Well, they do have gondolas with glass floors so you can go over the track and look down at the cars racing by. I don't know. It sounds kind of shit to me.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Get
I
your
don't know
boat
if I would pay for that, though.
shoes ready. Your collared shirts opened all the way. I don't know. I don't even think anything good. Miami GP, fun, cocaine,
Cubano.
old men. I can't even tell you. I'm sure it's going to be a good race. I don't predict this going more than a couple seasons, but if it's a money one, I'm more excited for Vegas, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm going to lay it down as a precedent that if America can suddenly decide that they're going to have 3 races, then Pete, I think there's hope that we might be able to get 2 races back in Australia and have Adelaide back on the calendar.
That's the dream.
Now with our newly elected premier that's just brought back the Clipsal 500 V8 supercar racing, I think anything's possible to bring back the F1. So that's I think that'll be Pete and my campaign through this. Everyone around the world, please vote for Adelaide to come back as a racing track. It's an amazing track.
I reckon they'll be doing sub 1 minute though around Adelaide these days.
What's that, Pete?
I reckon they'll be doing sub 1 minute.
Oh yeah, I reckon that would be too. Doesn't matter.
It's that short of a track. They could do that in sub 1 minute.
It'll be getting close. They were doing a minute 15 in 1995.
Yeah, that's right. I think it was down to 1:30 at one point.
Yeah, so given the cars have gone a lot faster than then.
Dang.
We are at time, so we're not going to be able to do a little history lesson today. But Will, please sign us off. Send us into the next week.
Certainly. Well, once again, you've been listening to The Paddock, a Formula One podcast for new and existing Formula One fans. Coming at you from both New Jersey, USA and Adelaide, South Australia, across the Pacific Ocean. As always, we love hearing your feedback and your questions. Please feel free to reach out to us on all of the usual platforms of social media. I'm going to leave with one of my favourite all-time quotes from an F1 driver, which is Ayrton Senna. If you no longer go for a gap that exists, you are no longer a racing driver, because we are competing to win. Ayrton Senna, 3-time world champion, one of the most amazing drivers in F1's history. Once again, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we look forward to chatting again soon on our next podcast. Bye for now.
See you later.
Awesome.
Awesome.